Hey everybody, this is Doc Mack at the Galloping Ghost Arcade in Brookfield, Illinois. Today is Monday, November 18th, 2013, and we're doing another one of our game player profiles. And today we're joined with by Davin Loh.
Hey, thanks for having me, Doc.
Thank you for coming out.
Not a problem.
You're one of our regulars. You've definitely been setting a lot of high scores and getting a lot of world records lately. So
Yeah,
it's
definitely. It's been a pleasure to come here to support this kind of business, and yeah, it's a great community to have here, and so thank you for having me and the opportunity to do one of these profiles. So
again, we greatly appreciate you coming out, and it's you've definitely made a lot of friends here. It's
yeah, absolutely.
Great having you within the community. So.
Absolutely, like a lot of great players here, like Fred DeHart and Matt Rocco, James White, of course Norbert Val, my arch rival at for a lot of my records. But yeah, a lot of great players. You meet new people, interesting people with interesting stories, and they'll all just come here to have a good time, play some games, maybe set a record or two, and yeah, it's a really great place to do that.
You say that very casually. And
well, it's like, Fred is one of those guys. He just, at the drop of a hat, he'll take back his Aero Fighter score or, a Macross score or something like that, or his Magic Sword score. So, these guys drop it like nothing. More than anything, I'm the one who's like slacking. I'm the one who is always trying to catch up to these guys. So it's a definite honor to see these guys play and see what kind of, skills they bring to the table. So
well,
absolutely.
You definitely fit in with the group here. So.
Thanks.
Well, I guess first, what was your first experience playing video games?
Way back in the day, my parents bought an Atari 2600, and that was my first experience in playing Pac-Man and Adventure and Pitfall and those kind of games. Just through the course of, good fortune, having, friends who have other systems and other, other gaming systems, like got to play the ColecoVision, got to play, the Odyssey, got to play, and then we moved on to the 8-bit Nintendo, and then friends having the Genesis or the Super Nintendo.
What did you play on the 8-bit Nintendo? What were some of your favorites?
Some of my favorites, definitely the Mega Man series.
Oh,
huge fan of that. Of course, Super Mario Brothers. Another good one was the Capcom Disney series, like DuckTales and Darkwing Duck and Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. Those were some of my favorite licensed games, but in the 8-bit era. So, yeah, those are some really good ones for the 8-bit. So
cool. Mm-hmm. And then you went on to Genesis.
Absolutely. I actually purchased a Genesis myself, and then I had friends who had a Super Nintendo. So every other weekend we'd swap out and try new games and share and share experiences. So I got a really good education in the 16-bit era too. So the Mortal Kombat series, both 1 and 2, the Street Fighter series, which dominated that generation mostly. Great games like Chrono Trigger, the Final Fantasy series. Sure. What else? We were lucky enough to have a friend who imported a lot of games for Super Famicom, so we had the opportunity to play the Dragon Ball Z series, which was a lot of fun. That was a really great series to play on the Super Famicom.
Yeah.
So.
Did you continue throughout the consoles, or?
Absolutely. Then going through high school and college, I had friends that were able to, with that Sega Dreamcast, that was a big one. Then I myself this was the first time I ever slept outside for a console, and it was for the PlayStation 2. So able to pick up one of those, and of course the PlayStation 1, and a lot of great games on those series, like Final Fantasy 7, Tekken 3. That was the big one for
Tekken 3.
Yeah, that was a big one. And then just cultivating a lot of just getting a good gamer's history of an education on those kind of those series like Crash and Spyro, and then Nintendo 64, and playing the Rogue Squadron and all those things like on GameCube. And I'm just all over the place here, but yeah, I've been very lucky to have that education and that experience. Having friends that either knew where to go to get to play these games, or just had the consoles themselves. So, are
you getting into the next gen consoles?
Not at launch. But from what I'm hearing, it's the online for the PlayStation Network's been a little hectic. But I think usually I give it around 3 to 6 months to see how sales are doing and what games are out there, and then I decided for myself that I would probably jump in when the next Metal Gear came out, because that's another series that I really enjoy. So the Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes for the next generation. And then, of course, when another Street Fighter comes out for the next generation, I'll definitely be jumping in then. So.
Awesome. What about your arcade experience?
I was also lucky to, grow up in suburbia, and there was a really great arcade in my neighborhood called Friar Tuck's in the south suburbs, and able to just they were one of those arcades that actually managed to get a lot of the first games first. That was one of the first times I ever played Super Street Fighter 2. They had Street Fighter 3, of course. They had all the Mortal Kombats. Another great thing about that arcade was they had sports nights, so they would have NBA Jam tournaments, NBA Hang Time, NFL Blitz, and you get a huge crowd of people just around one cabinet and just cheering people on and talking smack, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a great community like you've tried to foster here, and it's a great reminder of that time when I when I didn't have a car and I was biking to the arcade.
Yeah.
So it was a really great time.
Which did you prefer, Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat?
It's funny because I was always a Street Fighter guy, and then Mortal Kombat I didn't actually play it until late in its release, and so I just got caught onto the scene a little later. I did like it, but I was just like, it's a little hard to do combos. It's a very different fighting system, and I don't like the block button.
Yeah.
And so that I jumped back on Street Fighter, and then I didn't jump back in until Mortal Kombat 2, and that was the high point of that series for me. Just just the gameplay was tightened, and the graphics were, and the bigger roster, and so it was that was one of those games that it was so popular, it just sucked you in. Everyone who was playing was in that scene. So yeah.
Do you remember the first time you played Street Fighter 2? Do you remember who you picked?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I picked Guile, and I proceeded to get my butt kicked really quickly by this Chun-Li player who was actually really good, and this was the days when we didn't have the internet, so we didn't know, and the cabinet didn't have the move lists or anything like that. So you're just, mashing on the joystick and the buttons trying to make something happen. And by luck, I would throw out a sonic boom, and I'm like, oh, how'd I do that? And then that was the one time in the round, and I lost 2 straight. So yeah.
What other arcades did you go to? You mentioned Friar Tuck's, but were there, you seem to have a pretty deep knowledge of arcade games.
Absolutely. Up in Northbrook, there was Super Just Games, and then it got renamed in Nickel City, and that was a pretty great experience too. That was similar to here. You pay a small admission, and then the games are only a nickel, and so you got to play. There were a lot of great games there. They had a huge interior space, so you got to try games like Dance Dance Revolution, like the Namco Time Crisis series. That's another great one. A lot of the ride games like the Afterburner and Space Harrier, those kind of games, and it was a really great experience. So you got this great education, just seeing the lights and the sounds, and it's really, it was a really integral part of growing up in the suburbs. So that was one of the arcades, and another one was of course, Aladdin's Castle. That was when arcades were still pulling in money to be syndicated and to have a franchise. So that was one at the mall that we always loved to go to after seeing a movie at the mall. So
yeah.
If
you had to pick maybe your top 5 games from the arcade.
Wow, that's a tough one because there's just so many games I've been able to play through the arcade. But of course, probably Street Fighter as a totality. I'll fit that as one slot. The Ninja Turtle series, that's always a fun one to get a bunch of friends in and just play 4-player co-op. That's a lot of fun. So many to pick. Of course, the SNK, those cabinets, a lot of great games like Metal Slug, Aero Fighters, and of course all the great fighting games on there like King of Fighters and Fatal Fury. So yeah, it's hard to pick just one.
And again, you mentioned the SNK games like Samurai Showdown, which is one you're a world record holder.
Absolutely, yeah. That's another favorite of mine. I'll say to the day I die, that's probably one of my favorite fighting game series on the SNK board. And one was just it just got me hooked, and then 2, they just refined everything and made everything a little bit better, but still kind of busted, but still a lot of fun to play and a lot of character and a lot of just personality, and that was just what sucked me in. So
for sure.
Yeah.
I know, since you've been coming here, you've been setting scores and stuff. was that something that back in the day you were always interested in, like, or was that more just recently? Or
it was actually a more recent thing. It was funny because the first time I ever came in the arcade, I was talking to you and you were telling me a little about how you started the place, your inspiration, and the cabs. And I was looking on top of the cabinets and you would see the cards with the Twin Galaxy record and the Galloping Ghost record. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So the first day I was here, I actually took down the Tekken 4 time record.
Yes.
And I also took down the Capcom versus SNK 2 record in short succession. And I was like, this is pretty cool. It makes you want to try harder, learn the ins and outs and see what other people are playing and how they're playing it. And this is how me and Norbert started our great rivalry, back and forth, especially on Capcom versus SNK 2.
Yeah, and it's definitely been great watching you two play.
Yeah.
Like the skill level just keeps getting higher and higher.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He'll put up a great score and then it'll sit for maybe 1 to 3, 4 months, and then I'll just be practicing, and then one night I'll come back and I'll either score him by at least a few 100 points or maybe 300 points, and then then we'll just go back and forth, and it's a great feeling just to be able to do that. It kills my wrists and my fingers, but it's it's that sense of competition is is worth the pain for for that night. So absolutely.
We've noticed that we just had you stream recently. You did Breaker's Revenge.
Yeah, actually another one of the on the Capcom cabinet. I'm on the SNK cabinet.
And I believe, was that your first time streaming here? I believe you were actually in on a Macross stream that we ran
Maybe
a long time ago.
I think
this was your first dedicated stream.
Absolutely, yeah. This was my first, and I was like, you know what? I think I'll give it a shot. And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm big time enough to get a stream, but you were more than accommodating for that, and I do appreciate that. And just sat down at Samurai Showdown 2 and took down, I boosted my own record on that, and then we went to the level 8, the maximum difficulty setting, and then I took the record down on that, and then I decided on a whim just to try Breaker's Revenge, and then managed to score 7 million on
awesome.
That one. That was a great night.
3 world records in one night is very impressive.
And then Norbert comes along 4 or 5 days later and takes it right back, so I'm coming for you. But yeah, that again, just that really great sense of competition and fair play, and it's just a good thing to have here. So,
do you, when you're streaming, does it affect your gameplay at all? Is there any more pressure, or?
It's more just embarrassment, because I know when I play, especially Samurai Showdown, I know I get kind of vocal and a little passionate, and I can make some pretty interesting noises. But as for pressure, it's just I just try to tune it out and just focus on the game and just let it happen. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I just try not to stress out about it and just have a good time with it. So.
And that's, again, being in an arcade setting, going after a score, like there's people, again, when you're playing Samurai Showdown, you had a crowd of people around you, and you could definitely see you had a few younger players around you, and they really look at that as inspirational to see you going after a score, and to not only be going after it, but actually take it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's how I was when I was younger, seeing, those guys who were older than me in the arcade, and they're playing games like Discs of Tron or Pac-Man or Donkey Kong or whatever it was, and just saying like, wow, they can do all this cool stuff. I want to learn how to do that, and I want to learn how to play. So, it's all circular. So, yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you do any prep work when you're going after a score? Like, do you play emulators? Do you watch a lot of YouTube videos?
I mean, definitely YouTube has become, like, a lot of my YouTube searches become like things like high score play, or just like to see like how to take down a certain opponent or something like that. And it gives you a little bit of insight, and then there's sometimes it's just like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Like one of them, for example, was Elevator Action 2.
Sure.
And I was just watching the videos on that. I'm like, oh, so you should be, trying to blow up everything, trying to get all the bonuses, trying to do, just try to go for the maximum score at every opportunity you can. And I don't think I'll ever top. I think Rocco's got the high score on that. Right? Yeah, he's got like 600,000. And I don't know if I can touch that. I get to the last stage and I'm still only like 400,000, but it's something to shoot for in my spare time. So yeah.
That's cool. Current, what's been your toughest goal that you've set for yourself here at the arcade?
Man, well, of course, Galloping Ghost Arcade features this really great thing every year, the Gamer of the Year, and that's one of those things that, what qualifies you to be a good gamer? Is it just setting high scores? Is it about promoting the arcade? Is it about drawing new people in? Is it, it's all those things. And I think one of my goals personally is just to try to be, because if I know for myself that if I had to choose one genre of game to play for the rest of my life, it would definitely be fighting games. And even mediocre to bad fighting games, I'll give it a shot and I'll love something about them. And one of the things for me personally is like, I can't just play fighting games. There's a lot of other great games out there I love, like the Macross shooter series,
Yeah.
and Elevator Action 2, and the Metal Slug. And so it's just try to get, not just to reacquaint myself with these games that I used to love as a kid, but try to get a decent score on them, be competitive, and just try to foster that love and that thing, and just try to be a more well-rounded kind of arcade player.
Yeah.
So that's probably the toughest thing that I deal with. So
Has there been any game that you've found in the arcade that you've never played it before, maybe you've never even heard of it, that you tried it and you're just like, wow, it's an amazing game? Or,
I had seen videos of the Ninja Batman.
Yeah.
That's a crazy game. There's just that title alone, just the Super Ninja Batman or something like that, and it's just incredibly bizarre. It's very Japanese.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of fun to play. And the first time I actually got to get my hands on it and play it, I was like, wow, this one's really great. I think I want to give this a shot. And
is that one you'd go for a score in?
I think possibly I'd give it a shot just to see, because it's just got so much character and it's such a fun game to play. So I'd definitely try to put up a high score on that one.
Yeah.
So.
And I've definitely seen the more and more you've been coming, like you've definitely branched out and you're trying a lot more games, and you've been putting up a lot more scores.
Yeah, it's like you said, having the cards on top of the cabinets and like, man, I could get that, or wow, that's a really impressive score. I want to shoot for that. So it's like, it's one of those things that kind of motivates you to come back and try again and just do the best you can. So
has there been a score yet that you've had and somebody has come in and just put up such a tremendous score that you've been like, I'm done playing that. I'm walking away?
Well, like we just mentioned, Breaker's Revenge, after setting that high score for myself, and then Norbert setting it up, taking it back 5 days later. That was a tough one, and not just by a few points, but by a good 2 million points. And I was like, man, I don't know if I should be playing this game anymore. I've just been outclassed, but I think I'll give it another shot again. And then of course he's inching closer and closer on my Capcom vs. SNK 2 store, and that's always I don't know how much more I've got left in me for that one. Like the last time I took that record back, I felt my hands were gonna fall off, but.
Definitely some serious work. You've put some serious work into that one.
Yeah, definitely. So that would be a tough one to lose. But like I said, it's all friendly competition. It's all more about, just friendly competition and fostering good friendships here, and just, talking a little bit smack here, but, making some friendships and, just taking it as far as it can go. So, yeah.
Again, one of the problems with getting so many scores, and again, the Capcom versus SNK 2, you've held on to that. And has there been a score that's been particularly hard to lose for you so far? That's
man. I mean, it's always tough. Not so much tough, but it's a little bit heartbreaking. Almost like you put all your effort into getting a game, getting the high score in a game, and then all of a sudden somebody takes it down in a short amount of time, or just blows it out of the water, and you're just like, man, that's a heartbreaker. I gotta recoup. I gotta pick myself up, dust myself off, and try again. In general, it's always a tough one to fall. Some scores, that are gonna stick around for a while. I'm pretty sure no one's gonna knock off my Samurai Showdown 1 score.
For sure.
But that Capcom versus SNK 2 score, I know Norbert's just chomping at the bit to get that one.
For sure.
I definitely want to give Breaker's Revenge another shot, because just that feeling of man, if just a little bit more, I know I can do better here, I know I can do better here, and then maybe you'll get it, and then that's just what's moving you forward. So.
Yeah, that's been definitely a great one to watch, just as it's been getting a lot of attention lately. Again, Uday Kumra, Norbert, and yourself have been
just throwing out scores there. Yeah,
everybody's outdoing everybody else. It's
absolutely
becoming harder and harder to take and keep a score, which is just amazing.
Because the big secret on that game is just, the most important thing to do is to take straight rounds and not lose a round, and then the better you can do that, the higher your score multiplies. And so it's just a matter of just knowing your opponent and being able to, get them in the corner, just not let them take a round at all.
For sure.
Yeah. So.
What are some of your next future games that you're looking to set scores on? Or
Well, you did get that huge stock of SNK cabinets, and I'm hoping you'll be able to get some of the games that I've been wanting to play again, like the Real Bout Fatal Fury series, Rage of the Dragons, maybe
we're
even...
actually looking at that one right now.
Oh,
so
really?
We'll probably have that very soon.
Awesome. Looking forward to playing that one again. Another one, maybe Fighter's History or Fighter's History Dynamite, and maybe the last of the World Heroes series, like Jet or Perfect.
Yeah.
Those would be some really great ones to have in here, because I remember playing those so much as a kid, and that'd be... I'd love to give them another shot and go for some high scores on those again.
Yeah.
So...
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could have one world record on any game, just it was your score,
Mm-hmm.
it would not be touched.
Mm-hmm.
What would you want to be known for that being that's your game?
Man, that's a good one. That's a tough one, because it's like, do you want a game that everyone knows about, or do you want a game that's like just so weird and quirky and that, that it just sparks a lot of interest, and then everyone's like, wow, I've never heard of that game. I want to play that game. And so if I had to choose one, let's see. I'd probably go Street Fighter 2, like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, because, man, the scores that are put up on that one, it's just high-level play on Street Fighter is just an impressive thing to do, and to just take it to that next level would be really great. So,
cool. And, you've been coming here for quite a while. Do you remember how long you've been coming to the arcade now? Or?
Pretty much 3 years. We just
3 years.
celebrated your third anniversary back in August, and that was... I remember seeing you on 190 North on Channel 7, and that was like, wow, gotta go there. I mean, Shang Tsung is there, Philip Ahn is, yeah, absolutely, the motion capture actor. And it's just, and all that time, it's been a great experience coming here. You have great things for the community to do, like Sharp Dress Saturday, the swap meet, and various tournaments, and and of course you have the support of local developers here, like the NetherRealm guys.
NetherRealm, for sure.
And the motion capture guys for the old MK guys, the MK games, like Daniel Pacina,
John Parrish, Philip Ahn, Rich DeVizio.
Absolutely, it's just such a thrill for guys who were kids back in the late '80s, early '90s to see these guys, get a signed headshot, shake their hand, play a couple games of Mortal Kombat with them. And so it's a real thrill. You've made this not just an arcade, but a real place that people can come here, have a good time, and feel like, wow, this is a really cool place to hang out. And
appreciate that.
Yeah. So
is there any event that's been a personal favorite out of all of them? Like, you named a bunch of them. Now.
Yeah.
Has there been one that you're?
I mean, just the fact of meeting the motion capture actors, and then also when Injustice released, you were able to make that custom cabinet for them, which they really appreciated, and it came out really slick. And
Thank you.
and so just being able to, going forward, to keep having that kind of support, because we're not in the East Coast or West Coast where a lot of the video game developers are, but Chicago has its own flavor and personality, and the fact that NetherRealm Studios is still here, and we're able to still have that that big kind of the big time connection to, like, a big time video game developer is a really cool thing to have, and hopefully just continue to foster that relationship and that community, and just make it grow. So
very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything on a video game level that you would want other gamers and the people that are listening and watching this to know about you, and anything video game related?
Just like to say, video gaming has been a part of my personality and my upbringing for a very, very long time. I never thought I'd still be playing video games at this age, but it's one of those things that just kind of, it's grown, it's evolved, it's kind of taken on a life of its own, and it's a really great thing to be able to come to a place here that's just a throwback to, playing with cabinets, and having an actual joystick and hitting buttons, and it's just a lot of fun. And you're able to bring friends here, and they just, their eyes just bulge out, and like, man, this place is great. I never knew this place existed. And moving forward, I just, with the new consoles coming out, the Xbox One and the PS4, just moving on with those and just playing. I don't know how much longer I'll be playing, honestly. Getting to that point where it's like, should I be doing other things with my time that should be a little bit more productive? But until that day, I just want to be a gamer and just having fun with it, and just having that part of my life just like a really interesting and niche part of my life, and just fostering it until the coffin lid drops, I guess. So.
Well, I definitely hope that you're playing here for a long time to come.
Absolutely.
Like you've become such a major part of our community here, and we appreciate. And it's an honor watching you play. Like Samurai Showdown, that stream was excellent, and we really appreciate you coming out and playing here.
And again, I wouldn't have that opportunity if this arcade didn't exist, and so it's just a real pleasure to come here to put down money in this local community and making sure that it doesn't go somewhere else, like to some faceless corporation. So always great to put money into a local community and support small businesses like yours. So
appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
So I think that about wraps it up. Again, we're here with Davin Loh, one of our regulars here at the Galloping Ghost Arcade. You can usually find him either by our Neo Geo games or Elevator Action. And,
yep.
Definitely stop in, watch him play. He's one of our great players. So thanks very much for everything. Thank you. This is Doc Mack from the Galloping Ghost Arcade in Brookfield, Illinois. Hope to see everybody here around the arcade soon. Thanks a lot, everybody.